of responsibility to train and develop the next generation who will take over the responsibility for leading this family in the future. That is one of the most important functions within a family. And one of the most difficult. Judgment toward those who are actively engaged in that process is toxic. So, what is healing?
So if I relate it back to some of the clients I deal with, it's not going in a home judging the parents, but it's going in a home empathizing with them, understanding that they deal with this every day. I'm just there for an hour,
Just get a
maybe
snapshot.
2 hours, and this is, if it's
Right.
enough for me, I know it's enough for you every single day. You've been going through this for a year, 6 months, 2 years.
Yeah.
And so obviously you reached out for some type of help, so that's really a good place right there that you recognize there's some issues, you need some help. I'm not there to judge you, I'm there to empathize with you and provide alternatives
Mm.
to help you and your family to become better, become one again,
Yes,
become happy.
yes.
Be able to go out in the community and not have to have the child on a leash or just feel like, I can't eat here no more. Can I get a Chipotle?
Yeah, yeah, all of that is real. Yes. So we have an opportunity to help. And so I want to, at this point, step through some tools that we have available to us that can assist us in our helping process. I want to come back to the concept of control, because there's a difference between controlling and empowering. What's the difference between controlling and empowering? What is the fundamental difference between controlling someone and empowering them? What's the fundamental difference between attempting to control someone and attempting to empower someone?
When I think of control, you don't give anyone any leeway to have options. They don't have a voice. You haven't given them a chance to make decisions for themselves. It's just basically, it's my way or no way.
Mm.
When you empower someone, I'm giving you advice, I'm mentoring you, here's what I can tell you, but I'm also giving you the opportunity to make a choice, and I'm allowing you to decide what's best for you.
Beautifully articulated. So what this model is aspiring to do is to teach parents how to parent via empowering their children. Now, this is why the empowerment piece is so critical and key. Empowerment is important because, as Shanika shared, what happens in an empowerment process is you acknowledge this person's power and right to make decisions for themselves. Now, we know children haven't developed the maturity at certain stages of development to be able to make wise, informed, intelligent choices for themselves. But there are some things at varying developmental stages that we can grant as opportunity to our young people to make choices for themselves. The reason why we do that is because ultimately we are teaching our children to observe and manage their own lives. Now, it's very difficult to learn how to manage your own life when your life has been intricately managed by someone else you're entitled. You haven't received very many practice opportunities because there's someone in your life who has been facilitating, potentially manipulating, and controlling the affairs that are connected to you. And as a lack of exposure and practice with managing it for yourself, when you finally reach an age, 18, 19, and you are released from the nest, you have limited experience, and limited competency in the area of managing your own things. And essentially, what is imparted is a level of dependency. And ultimately, we're training our children to be independent. That is difficult sometimes because, as a parent, we adore our children. We benefit from the connection to our children. Independence means at some level that they will leave. They will separate. They won't need us as much. And if we have a need as it relates to them needing us, then them not needing us is a real loss to us. Right? So we are, through this model, giving children, parenting and teaching children for the purpose of preparing them for independence and autonomy. Now, this is what you compromise when you engage in this process. When you are empowering children and when you're training children to be independent and autonomous, what happens is your level of control diminishes. And that is extremely uncomfortable as a parent. Because if you can't, with your own hands, ensure that they're going to be okay, it just feels very, very, very risky. It's a high-risk endeavor. And suppose I, in an effort to do what Teal's talking about, just let them go out and, try some things that I may not necessarily agree, and something really bad happens. I'll never forgive myself. So we're always trying to, in this process, control for the risk and exposure to our children as we grant them and try to create for them opportunities to learn independence. So what this model does to control for the loss of control, control in terms of manipulation and direct management of the children's affairs, what this model teaches us is, control for the sake of control restricts the growth and development of children in the journey of of becoming autonomous. But one of the ways that we can give some of that back to parents is via influence. There's a difference between controlling a person, influencing a person. It's what Amy was talking about. What's the difference between control and influence? Anyone?
You're almost like standing next to somebody when you're influencing them instead of standing over them.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm not necessarily making the decision about what you're going to do, but I'm also going to give you feedback about what could be happening. You're going to ultimately be in charge and make the decision of what you're going to do, but I'm still right here next to you.
Let me ask you this. You bring it closer to home and get you. Think about the person who is most influential in your life. Think about that person. Who is that person that's most influential in your life? All right, you have it. Now let me ask you this. Did that person at any point come to you and say, you know what, I want to be an influence on you, and I was hoping we could talk about how I could become that for you?
No.
No. Did that person campaign to hold that post in your life? Let me ask you this. The person you came up with, have you ever told them they're the most influential person in your life?
Yes.
Yeah. Some have, some haven't. did they get elected to that post?
Authentically.
Hmm?
They authentically. It's authentic. It's not anything that they showed up for. They was just automatically there and did what they had to do.
Whew, that almost made me cry. I'm serious. Because I believe that is the most important part of parenting. That we would live a life where our children would elect us to occupy that post in their life. That's empowering. Don't follow me just because I'm your mother. Don't follow me just because I'm your father. Don't do what I say just because you came from me. But watch me. I'll walk out everything I'm telling you, and it's going to be beautiful in your presence. And there may be some distractions, and there may be some peers who may distract you or have some level of influence, but at the core of who you are, who I was in your life, and who you watched me be, you choose that. Choose for yourself. Choose for yourself. I'm living that right now. 17-year-old son. He's trying to figure it out. I've been there with him every step of the way. Lived my life in front of him. And he's still looking around like, whoa, I'm getting to see more of this world. And, oh, okay. That looks fun. That looks interesting. I'm curious about what that is. And I'm just there like, it's the alternative. Yeah, this is what created your reality. What I did. Choose ye your path. Very risky, very dangerous. But there's nothing that we could do of greater importance than to live our lives in a way that would cause our children to elect us as the greatest influence in their life. Because they're going to do that anyway. You can't mandate that post in someone's life. And the way that you gain access to the opportunity to even be a part of that election is via your relationship. Because the nature and the health and the strength of the relationship with your children will have a heavy amount of influence on their decision of choosing you as their most influential person. So, the first step in the parenting skills sequence is showing understanding. Now, this works in sequential order. The parenting skills model is a sequence, meaning that when you have arrived at a point with your children that you believe you need to take action toward the purpose of teaching, influencing, and guiding, you will intervene at the least restrictive level first. And then observe the outcome. So we want to be as least involved as possible to give the child an opportunity to explore, experience, make decisions and determinations for themselves. We want to be least restrictive as relates to restricting their free will. When I say restrictive, I mean moving in power and authority as a parent to lord over your children and restrict their ability to make decisions and to experience this life in this world for themselves. You want to start at the least restrictive place. And the least restrictive place in this model, showing understanding. Showing understanding is a powerful tool toward the attempt to build and strengthen relationship. biggest barriers in relationships is when you arrive to that place and you just make a determination and they just don't get me. They don't understand. They don't understand. Now listen, I was growing up one of the biggest fans of rap music you would find. I even took a swing at being a rapper. I loved it that much. I used to love being in the studio. I loved writing raps. I loved listening to the music. I loved following the culture, keeping up with the rappers. And, you know, I remember when I first got in, Fat Boys was out. And they had brought beatboxing to the table. All that stuff. And I used to go around the house just doing that. My father was like, man, what are you doing? And that stuff's foolish. What are you doing? He literally could not understand it. And to me, it was just beautiful. I thought it was amazing. I've never seen or heard anything like it. And it was so tangible because it wasn't like trying to learn to play a trumpet where you had to read notes and music. You could just naturally be where you were with not having to buy a horn, and you could just put your hands to your mouth and start making noises and beats, and then your homeboy could just start rapping over it, and y'all could move around and battle each other and go down the harbor and put your sweatsuit on and, go to the Fresh Fest. It was live. It was live. My father could not understand it. He didn't understand the sweatsuit. He wanted me to wear ties. I was trying to get little, shell toe Adidas. I was trying to, roll one leg up like LL, come to the house. It's like, oh man, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. And, he didn't get it. And then I found myself, as my son was growing up, listening to the music and vibing off the music, and he would get exposure to the music. But as years went on, the music evolved, the messaging, the titles, the concepts, and he was down in the basement listening to some music really loud, and the language and the concepts I was hearing coming out, and pull up syrup, put a syrup up, put a syrup up. And I said, what's that? He was like, oh, that's that Dirty Sprite 2. And I'm like, Dirty Sprite? Dirty Sprite 2. I'm like, what's Dirty Sprite? He was like, oh, it's like this promethazine they be getting high with it. And I'm like, that's what they talking about? And I was like, whoa, maybe I messed something up. Maybe I took a wrong turn because I don't get it. But then I was like, my dad didn't get it. He didn't get it. He didn't even seek to understand it. He wasn't going to have a conversation with me about it. Man, take that off, man. Get out of here with that. So at that point, something that was very important to me and dear to me that I was passionate about, my father didn't have any access to me in that area because I didn't grant him access because I didn't feel like talking to him about it anyway because I knew he wouldn't understand. So because I denied him access, he didn't have an opportunity to influence me in that area. Because of this model, showing understanding taught me when I heard my son bumping Dirty Sprite 2, if I really wanted to maintain the relationship and the connection with him, it would be advantageous for me to seek to understand what is this to you. And showing understanding is not necessarily agreeing with everything that's going on. But it's looking at it and try to identify at the core of it, what aspect of this can I relate to? Because at the end of the day, the music is entertainment, it's an opportunity for release, it's an opportunity to, elevate your energy, and I have music that does that for me, right? And so I also was part of the hip hop culture, and